Alrighty, what is going on, everybody? This is Coach Apxche, and I'm going to do a VOD review for you guys so you guys can learn some things. But also, hopefully, I can point out some things that maybe y'all didn't know, or maybe you were unsure about, whatever, right? So, let's restart. Hello, what's going on, everybody? It is Coach Apxche, and I am here today to help you improve as a team in Marvel Rivals. So we'll be discussing three things in this game. We'll be talking about, your draft. Oh my gosh, that looks sloppy. Your attack and your defense, right? So we'll be talking about all three of these things here because obviously they're all important to winning the game. But I definitely want to emphasize that, your draft, hence your bans, um, is going to be important, right? So with that being said, we'll get into that, and then after that, we'll talk about other things. So when it comes to your bans, right? There's a few things you want to focus on. So a lot of people, especially new teams, will kind of just only focus on this. What's really broken, right? Or like something that they personally struggle with, right? So you'll see that a lot, and that could be good, but it doesn't really build up on kind of giving you the best advantage because you're kind of just banning things that are good, but they could also be good for you, right? So what I want you to focus on is to focus on the map you're playing and what you plan on playing on that map, right? So as a new team, it's a little hard because sometimes you don't know what you want to play in certain maps. But as you get more experience, be able to you'll be able to do that. So before that, the meta is okay, and then obviously think about the map, as well as once you get more experience, then it'll more so be map and what you want to play. So you want to ban your counters and things like that. So I did take a little look at his VOD, so I kind of have an idea. Y'all can play like a poke comp. So obviously you're going to be banning for the map and in things that are going to make this very hard because that's what you want to play, right? So yeah. So as we let this play, we'll speed it up a little bit. We know that, as we can see, we're kind of just where are we at? We're on. I don't even know what's that. We're on the blue team. I'm pretty sure. So they banned Wolverine. We banned Daredevil, which Daredevil is definitely a strong meta pick right now. Will it affect your team if you're playing poke and kind of sitting together? Not sure. There still are other dive picks, so saving the Mantis. Mantis is a good pick for poke, giving that damage amp. They save Iron Man, so they want to go flyer. So when it comes to your bans, and they ban Penny, right? So they're trying to reduce your bunkering ability. They want to force you to play outside. So we ban Venom, which is one of the best tanks in the game, especially, into poke, that he'll be able to close that gap. And we save Magneto. Magneto's a good overall tank. So as of right now, this is looking pretty good. They save Emma, okay. And they ban Rocket.
You'll need a top-notch team.
And then we go with the Ultron ban, and that's actually, I wouldn't say that's a meta ban, but I definitely think Ultron ban, especially since they have this, is nice. There's still a lot of strong picks they can run with the Iron Man, though. So I would say, as nice as this ban is, there's other things that might, play really well into you. There's still Angela, right? Angela technically can get a lot of pressure with going in. And it's like, yeah, they have this, but if they went that with like a flanker, like back how Nightmare used to play, they used to run like the Iron Man with the Star Lord and things like that. Like especially on this map, like that's definitely like a comp that can be played. So definitely think about things like that because the Ultron could be nice. It's not a bad ban, but at the same time, it's like maybe you could have got rid of something else that could have been really annoying to what you want to play.
Win this one.
And let's look at our comp real quick. So honestly, this comp looks really good. In terms of this DPS, I think Punisher is definitely a very solid DPS. Could you have got something else? Possibly, but there's nothing wrong with the Punisher. The Punisher is definitely great. I love the comp y'all go with. Am I a triple supporter? No, I hate it. But I'm not going to sit here and say this is a bad comp. In general, this is a really good comp. And with that being said, we need to be thinking about how can we best play this composition. And we're going to get into the game and talk about that now. But overall, Good band face. Alrighty, so now we are in our setup, right? So we're in our setup, and I'll talk about kind of like different places to hold and things like that, just to give you all different ideas, and then talk about like the strengths and things like that, so you can have a better idea of how maybe you could play this map or things like that. So with you playing a poke comp, you're not playing a comp that has like really, really like high range. Like obviously this I'll just put like MS or like F, I guess, for far range. I don't know, long range. So, for long. So, Loki's like a mid ranger. You know, your Punisher's going to be about the same. He's not going to have as much poke as things like the Hawkeyes, things like that. Same with this. Your Groot's going to be kind of like short range. Your Gambit's going to be most effective, more so in like I'd say the short range, and then you can say that your Mantis will be a mid ranger, not a long ranger, because obviously a projectile, the closer the better, especially because her projectiles aren't like super fast. So with that being said, you kind of want to take fights that are within the mid to short range. Probably more so the mid range, because obviously as they close it, it'll become short range. So you don't want to go short to mid, you want to go mid to short. Um, so with that being said, you can either hold here in this side of the map or this side of the map. What I've seen people hold in this side of the map, I've seen people do like kind of like a trifecta where they do like they hold this when they hold this last choke. It's very dangerous because you know you lose and it goes all the way through. So I'm a big advocate on trying to hold as much space as possible. So if you do make a mistake, you can portal back or whatever. So me personally, I would like to either hold here or here. I tend to go more for an aggressive hold. So I like to hold areas like this with like tanks around here, maybe have some supports around here, as long as they have the mobility to kind of get around, so that somebody can't just come here and instantly dive them, right? So if I wanted to hold up and I had your comp, the way that I probably have it set up is I'd probably have your Punisher here with like your mag and probably probably like probably your Loki, and then I'd have like your Mantis here, or I could have actually I probably have Mantis here, Loki here, um, and then probably your Gambit over here. And I know that sounds a little weird, but with the Gambit being here, Gambit can kind of heal people while also having kind of lines of sight and things like that. As well as the Gambit can drop down and get up very easily, whereas these characters really can't because their mobility is they don't have no mobility and has like limited mobility on the Loki, right? So with the Gambit's kind of in like a flexible position where he can drop down, help your Groot, as well as get back up, or like if he sees somebody like get low and come here, he can low-key drop down, take a quick duel, because Gambit's broken and do things like that, and then he can get out, right? So I'd have like a setup like this, right? So that you know you can hold up, but you have kind of like a little setup here. Push comes to shove, he can rotate as well as like you're controlling a lot of the map. So a lot of people don't think about the routes. So there's a route here technically where you can get around, and from here you can go here through here. You know, you have main, right, which also has routes like this as well. You have this side as well, right? So there's a lot of routes, and a lot of people forget about this route and the ability to kind of walk through here. So that's why I'm definitely a fan of holding this, because you deny main and this route here, which I feel like are the two best routes. This right route's kind of meh. Not a big fan of it. So, you know what I'm saying? So this is how I would personally hold, but you guys are holding back here. So we'll talk about that. With y'all holding back here, what I want you to realize is you have a Magneto and you have a Loki, right? These characters are, if not the best, some of the best breakers, right, in the game. And in a map like this, it's not an Asgardian map. So when you break things, they stay broken. Um, Knowing that they save the Iron Man, we can say with confidence they'll probably have a flyer. So a lot of times when they have flyers, they'll play around things like this. They'll get a little closer, right, and they'll abuse this. They might be able to peek over a tiny bit, but they'll abuse this. They can float around things like that. This is actually breakable, all breakable. Like you can literally remove like from here to here. Like you can remove this whole chunk of the roof. I'm gonna circle it for y'all. Like this whole part of this roof, like you can completely remove it, which I'll end up doing later on. So what I would suggest is the second you're able to break it, I would have Magneto and I would have my Loki break it. And what that's going to do is that's going to really open this up so that your Punisher can see everything. Because as of right now, he won't be able to see if somebody kind of like once they cross here, he'll see them for a second, and then he won't have view on them. Okay, I'm like out in the open until basically ever. They can flank here. This is breakable. They can get through here. They can flank here. Obviously, if they have mobility, they can come up here. And now they have this height on y'all. Like, there's a lot of routes they can do. So by breaking this, you kind of give everybody more vision, things like that, and you give flyers less places to hide. As well as, remember, we said that you guys are like kind of mid to short range kind of team. So playing all the way back here is kind of rough because you really you take that long fight, and your tanks aren't going to walk up. So the last thing I'm going to talk about is, well, I'll talk about positioning as well. So let's say we do break that and we want to talk about positioning. if if we're gonna play back here, we're set on playing back here. We're probably not going to fight until they get close enough, right? Because we don't want to just poke them for nothing and just allow them to build support things like that. Especially when they have things like this, things like this. We don't want to give them strong support, especially on a map like this, right? So you want to take the fight when it's convenient for you. You don't want to just poke and do meaningless damage. Yeah, you might be building their ults, but you're also allowing them to build their own. So positioning wise, um, honestly, you could have, once you break this, you can honestly have your mag up here. Maybe your mag and your punt can sit here with your mantis. You can have your Loki maybe play a little farther back. I'm not sure if, or you can have your Loki maybe play like here, and then you can have your Groot maybe play this corner here, and then have your Gambit kind of play behind your Groot, or even maybe your Gambit may have a more aggressive angle, just looking for a really early poke to build up his ult as quickly as possible. Because the faster Gambit gets ult, he pops it on everybody, and everybody gets ult, right? So you could have Gambit either play like an aggressive angle, or you can have him to kind of directly play kind of like a DPS kind of thing behind your Groot, and really just allow him to just do a lot of damage while also keeping his Groot alive, and things of that nature. Groot gets a wall, you can instantly throw, you can throw like your anti-heal, things like that, because Loki's gonna do majority of the healing, right? And he can copy your ult, he can copy the Mantis ult. Like these characters don't have to worry about building an ult because the Loki should be the one building the ult. And looking to copy one of these ults to just have a strong ult, or just copy the Luna ult and have a strong ult, right? So in my opinion, Loki should be the one that's trying to build their ult first. So Gambit can kind of get away with doing less healing, so that he can do, kind of play more of a DPS kind of role out of these characters, right? And then obviously the Mantis can kind of amp everybody. So Mantis being in a position to where she can actively boost her Mag and her Punisher, which are probably going to be the most damaging people on your team. Having her with them all the time is just going to keep their damage uptime really high, really, really high. The round starts, you throw a heal on your Groot, so he can already have that passive healing. Maybe throw it on your Mag and your Pun. Your Loki's probably not going to get touched, so you don't have to waste a leaf on him. Probably same thing with the Gambit, as well as the Gambit kind of has some self-sustain. So then you still have like a leaf to just throw out an amp either on yourself or on your carrier. Let's say your Punisher's just that guy. Just throw it on him, right? Or on your Mag, right? Just let them do that damage because they have combos that can just pop people, especially the Mag, right? So this is kind of how I would like to hold. You guys probably hold a little farther back. That's fine. But I like to hold this because push comes to shove, y'all can always like fall back. You can fall back to high ground with the Punisher. You have your little grapple. You can fall back to here. Unfortunately, your Mag can't really fall back anywhere. But like, let's say like push comes to shove, your group has to back up. Your Mag's here. Yeah, as the Punisher, you can back up. The Mantis can stay around here, so she's kind of in between. Unless y'all want a full kite, which is you're more than happy to. Your Loki can also just kind of teleport out, right? He can go invisible, get away, teleport to high ground. So now you can so if let's say you were to lose the fight initially, lose a player, you can then fall back to a choke because you have the mobility. So you can have something like a Pun, a Loki, maybe your Mantis can play like here, and then let's say Groot dies, your Mag backs up, your Mag plays the corner, right, whatever, right, just kind of, and you guys poke, waiting for the Groot to come back, whether it's a TP, things like that, whatever. But that's kind of like the positioning thing. So you take a fight here. If you anything, you lose and you back up, but you also you have those power positions, right? We want to make sure we're in positions of power. A lot of times, especially low elo, new team, not low elo, low to mid elo, and just newer teams will kind of just sit here and do this poke fight, where if you're not going to walk up and contest, the enemy team doesn't have to engage you, because this card's going to drop. Nobody really pushes up unless you have dive. So this card is going to move by itself no matter what. The card's going to get to like here for free. They could not touch it. They could walk around, do whatever they want, and this card's going to move. The fight kind of starts typically around here, right? So if they want, they don't have to fight you. They don't have to poke, things like that. So depending on where you position, if you position kind of back here low ground, you really won't be able to get angles on them or be in a position to fight them. So as this card's kind of moving on its own, they can quite literally walk up on you, get this high ground advantage, get flank routes, things like that, and y'all are kind of stuck there, right? So that's my only issue with that low ground positioning. But without further ado, we're going to get into the VOD so y'all can actually start seeing what y'all been doing, right? So, and I'll slow it down a little bit so we can try to catch things. So, so we'll kind of watch from an angle so we can kind of see what they're doing as well. So we're holding there. Punisher gets a little high ground there. So cart hasn't dropped yet, right? Y'all are starting to do a little poke fight. So when we look at their comp, right, we got to think about, and a lot of times the game will kind of just reveal it to you without even you having to see things. So after a little bit, you can kind of just hold tab, see what they have. We know they have two flyers, right, and they have like pretty slow tanks and things like that. So their idea, they should kind of be looking to kind of like kind of just close the gap, right? Not really hard fight until they get into positions to where they can really abuse y'all, right? So like if I were them, I would have probably just like sped my team through here, right? Just so I can get my flyers into a position to where they're really hard to fight. The cart's gonna move anyways. If anything, my Emma can drop down, and if she needs to get out, she can pop diamond, jump out, things like that. But if I were them, I would focus on getting my flyers into a good position. Hence why I said breaking this is very important. But they're taking the poke fight with y'all. They're kind of giving y'all, both y'all kind of want to poke. So they're kind of giving y'all, and you're giving them what they want, right? Punisher's on this little high ground here. They'll probably end up shooting that down so he can't sit there anymore. But as of right now, we're just poking, In terms of ult charge, I'll pause it real quick. 14 to 17, 9 and 7 to the 12. So their supports are a little ahead, but that's because obviously it's going to spread out a little bit. Like I said, Loki's going to do a majority of the healing, so he's going to be ahead. This is totally fine. Their tanks 12-7, 13-10. So in the terms of ult charge, I would say y'all are doing a little bit better. One thing to also think about as you figure out their comp, somebody needs to be thinking about what's their win condition. Obviously, they want to poke. They got a lot of damage, right? So they're just looking to build ults, right, and fight with ults. So the longer you take a fight, the closer they get to their win condition. Their win condition is ults. At the same time, though, you guys have the same, a similar win condition, right? You have, you have Punisher Gambit, right? You got Groot. Actually, yeah, you got Groot Magneto technically, right? So you kind of have two combo ults, right, to look for things, right? You can Groot ult them and then look for a mag dunk, or you can punish your Gambit and just run forward, right? So those are kind of your two win conditions. What I would really say though is the Groot, um, the Groot mag is probably going to be your real kind of like not really because they have an Iron Man, so you need to counter that with the mag ult probably. But I would say when that's not up, this is kind of like a win condition y'all have, is using those ults together. Obviously, you want to be able to counter that. But at the same time, your Punisher ult is going to be also really good at countering the Storm ult. Because Storm, Sharknado is going to be really oppressive, as well as just the Groot with the combo with the Sharks also potential. So what they might be looking for is build their ults. They Groot ult, they force Gambit to ult or use Cleanse, right? After that, they can kind of just back off, chill, and then Sharknado after when y'all don't have ults. Typically, you're going to have 3 ults, so it's going to be really hard. But Sharknado still does a lot of damage and can just grab you up and literally throw you off the map, right? So that's also going to be an issue. So our biggest threat is going to be Sharknado. Obviously, Punisher has ways to CC immune himself with his turret and his ult, so those will be kind of ways that he can avoid getting eaten while also blowing that up. So as the fight gets a little closer, now it's where it really begins. Just building up ults, taking poke fights. Cool beans, cool beans. But as you can see, like I was saying, the Flyers are going to kind of be playing near the building. They're playing really weird, and they're playing on the ground. Might as well not even be playing Flyers at that point. You could play literally anything else. But imagine they were up here, right? They're up here, right? Half the team can't see them. They could have been poking out your Loki, right? They could have just getting free damage on, your Groot, things like that. And as of right now, this is also something that y'all need to be wary about, is they can throw up shields and walls behind your Groot, which will enable you, will kind of force him to take a lot of resources, right? So that's going to be a big concern right now. But the way they're playing, they're just eating damage. Eating damage for no reason. They're playing in the choke instead of instead of the tanks kind of like playing in here, right? They can still take that same fight if they're playing inside. What does that do? That forces y'all to kind of walk up here, and then you're walking up, and then now the Flyers have advantage. And like I said, another reason why they're breaking this is good, because it just really limits where they can play from, right? So we got to be careful, because better tanks will contest space while kind of demanding you to take angles to fight them, which open up angles for their DPS, right? So these tanks don't really understand that concept, so they'll kind of fall victim to just being in front of a death firing squad. So yeah, let's keep that in mind though. But you guys are doing good. Y'all get 2 picks here. This is cool. So now you have 2 options, right? Both tanks are dead. It's spooky, just running into damage, but you do have tanks that can kind of soak some stuff up, pull out things. They have to reload eventually. They don't have infinite ammo. But you have 2 options. Option 1, and I'll make this a little bit bigger because I don't like how small this is. But option 1 is going to be to press forward and finish the fight, right? And then that'll enable you to take more space, right, or whatever. Or it's just going to give you the ult charge and whatever, it's going to force a reset, right? Like not a reset, a stagger, because they're waiting right now for 10 seconds for their whole team to be back. So within these 10 seconds, if you can get at least one more pick, that's going to create another like 12-second time where they got to wait. And if you get another one, that basically, even if it's 2 seconds apart from that one, that becomes 14. And another one, that becomes 16, right? So the goal would be to make them have to wait as long as possible before they get a full reset and to go again. If y'all just kind of let them get away, their timer is at max 10 seconds, whereas you could probably get it to like 14 at minimum. You know what I'm saying? So just be mindful of that. So as of right here, he's using his beam. He's going to have to reload. He's actually half HP. If I'm the Magneto here, I'm walking up to this corner. I don't even have to be in their line of sight, and I'm poking this guy. The Groot, they don't have the best damage. The Groot, in terms of these guys, Groot can throw down walls. Y'all get this pick, and then the Groot drops the walls, and you try to find somebody else, right? But this is actually, honestly, not a bad idea for y'all to walk up, look to finish his fight, create staggers, right? And just put the defense more in your favor because you're wasting more time. I don't know if Royals ever said it to y'all personally, but we've talked about it. Y'all have 6 players, but the 7th player is this guy. This is your 7th teammate. Is time, because at the end of the day, it's gonna get to a point in the game where time is what's gonna matter. They're gonna have to play depending on how much time they have. The more time they have, the more mistakes they can make, the more willy-nilly. As it winds down, though, it really restricts the things they can kind of do. So by making them waste more time, you're putting that 7th man into your favor. Where it starts off as in theirs, every second that goes by, it really starts to get in your favor as the defender. So we'll speed it back up because I know y'all aren't going to walk up here. But yeah. So we walk up a little bit, but I think at this point, it's a little too slow. If you were going to walk up, you would have had to walk up already, because now they're back, right? So now they're back, right? They're getting a second chance to fight here, right? So have they made any adjustments? No, they're still in the same things. Obviously, they're trying to build their ults, and Homie is probably on the ground. He was very low to the ground, so he blows up again, right? So these guys are making mistakes, right? So as of this point, I think y'all can already see that y'all are the better team. But obviously better players aren't going to make these mistakes, so make sure that we're also thinking about what better players would do as well. We are taking a lot of damage. We're up 1, and we're still taking a ton of damage. Honestly, with 1 being down, they're not going to really have the power to move the cart, but we also don't want to just allow them to for free get space. They technically have less damage with somebody down. So if we were maybe in better positions, maybe we had different angles so we can just shoot past the tanks and into the backline. Like imagine the mag was up here. He could be throwing shots into the backline with a Mantis damage amp, things like that. But honestly, in my honest opinion, I would like to walk forward here. I would like for us to gain pressure. And yes, I know walking through this is but they can just wall us off. There's more space. Y'all can walk and get different value. Hopefully your tanks can peel for y'all. But I would like for y'all to press the issue, finish the fight, right? Because right now they're down 1, but they're still taking space. That doesn't really make sense, right? How are they statistically at a disadvantage, but they're still gaining ground? And now their Storm's going to come back, right? And it's like she was never gone. They lost Storm and got a net positive in terms of space. Now, their Iron Man floated up, looked for a little flinky flink. We don't have our Maggle yet, unfortunately, so this is just going to go off for free. Even if we were to pop the Loki immunes, his ult does more than 1 instance of damage, so as it's flying in, it'll technically break the rune, and then it'll pop. So even if you were to immune, it still probably would have caught somebody. Luckily, it only caught 1, but now we're in a position to we probably got to play a little bit more reserved, back up. But we did pop our Gambit ult, so now we're in a position to where we've popped the support ult. It gives us speed and buffs like that, so technically we can back up, but we can't lose the group. So you have 2 options. If we have the confidence that we can get a trade, go ahead and walk forward. If not, use the movement speed and stuff to just build the ult while you're kiting backwards, right? You know, hopefully the Groot can get out. And then y'all can just take positioning, right, and just play better positioning as you wait for your tanks to get back. Even if Groot dies, technically the Magneto can swap to a Strange, right, and it can portal them both back so that at least they'll be guaranteed to fight with y'all again. But at this point, you have two options: either fight forward or live. And it looks like you guys are choosing to fight forward. Groot looks for an ult. It's a really big ult. Gets 2 picks here. They pop that ult. But we have ways of dodging that. Does end up grabbing your Mantis, which is very unfortunate. Y'all are not going to be able to save that. So that is a pick. So as long as Shark lives here, y'all are technically going to be down a player, and they're going to be able to take a fight at advantage here. So this is very, very spook. So, like I said, even though your Mag's getting back, you guys are down a player. It's going to take a minute for your Mantis to get back. So if they really press the issue here, y'all are going to be in trouble, like I said. So I would say just be mindful that you're down a player. And if you're down a player, and they're technically even skilled or better, they are going to press y'all, and y'all should lose that fight. Unless y'all are going to dump ults. Unless y'all are going to low-key copy this and use these together to just win, which could be rough depending on what they have, but they did give up the Storm, so they don't no longer have that combo. So that could be something y'all look to do, right? We're down one, we have to invest something. Either y'all are backing up or we're investing things so that we can fight forward. If y'all fight this without ulting, y'all should lose this. Even if you win, y'all should lose, and it's not a good thing. Just because something works doesn't mean y'all should continue to do it, because against better players, it's just not going to work, right? And that's what the goal is. The goal is to get better. The goal is to make better decisions so that when you play those better teams, you don't make silly mistakes. So either we're going to invest ult here, and we're going to walk forward, or we're not. We're going to kite back, wait for Mantis, and then maybe look to going with ults, however y'all want to do it. But those are the only two options. Fighting without ults is not an option. So they're popping ults. They understand you're down one. Y'all are backing up. He copies the gamut, like I said. Boom, and y'all pop forward, and y'all walk forward as Mantis is just getting back too, which is kind of nice. This is really good timing. Mantis is back as y'all walking in with these ults. They wasted an ult that did nothing. Y'all get 2 picks. Boom, beautiful. So y'all ended up doing decision 1. Well, kind of starting with a little bit decision 2, because you were forced to back up because of the ult. But I would have definitely be backed up a little bit. If your goal was to wait for the Mantis, I would have backed up. Just let them have their respected space. Don't die. Don't risk nobody getting picked, nobody getting ulted, and then you can initiate with that combo.
You stopped them in their tracks.
But here we are. But remember how I said breaking that would be nice? So eventually it breaks on its own. I don't know if this was intentional or not. But look at the difference of how much you can see versus in the beginning, where literally, like, I can actually draw it out because I know what it looks like. Literally, like, this was all covered. You know, there was here. It was like all the way out here. Like, this is all blocked. So by breaking this, like, look how much you open up. Bang! It's huge, huge vision. Huge vision. But also, I would prefer to play a little farther up. Here we are, back to square one, doing the damage. So now they've kind of switched more into flat DPS that want to kind of poke. So they should have, I would say, probably a more fair fight now. For the way they've been playing. Beautiful block on the Groot ult. Even though he shouldn't have popped it. But I guess maybe he was trying to pull out a cleanse or something. But yeah, I don't know. I don't even know why he ulted there.
We are undefeatable. I am ready to put on a
Mantis
show.
Soul. Also, don't know if this was intentional, but this was a fantastic Groot wall. Pretty sure y'all placed it and popped ult. And then you throw. Actually, it wasn't even your wall. It was their wall. He killed his teammate. He blocked them off from the ult. So this guy gets cooked, all because Groot puts his wall up. GG, man. I'll give you the credit, Groot. I'll give you the credit. But also look for plays like that. Obviously, ults like Luna are LOS, so the healing comes from the circle and goes outwards. So if you block off the connection from the center to wherever the person is, technically they won't get any healing. Whether you're using a Strange shield, or probably even a Mag shield, a Groot wall, Emma shield, you know, in this from the center. Well, that's very scary. You know they have a Bucky now, so we want to make sure that if we don't have big wall, we can't really be playing too aggressive. because we don't want to get yoinked like that, right? So we got to make sure we're being mindful. That's one thing also I noticed as well. You weren't really using your heal wall. Got to be aware of your team ups. Make sure we're using them, right? But hey, when it comes to your heal wall, you could put it near you and kind of like be greedy and get that extra healing for you, make yourself tanky. Or you can look to put it in a position when you have more time. So it can be a little closer to your backline, right? So your backline gets that extra sustain, especially for characters like Loki who don't necessarily have a self-sustainability other than invisibility. You can make his life a lot easier if if by putting it somewhere near him. They get a pick. Unfortunately, they're gonna commit ults. So we've committed an ult in return, but if they play it correctly, they should win this fight. The man ate a Loki clone, right? No, he grabbed people. Oh, Lord. Yep, so when y'all die, they pop ults, they win the fight. You know, it happens, right? Honestly, I would say your positioning, and we can go back to kind of be a little bit more nitpicky about it, but your positioning is probably what caused the fight to kind of like divulge into what happened. So we'll go a little back, and we will kind of put it in slow motion so we can really kind of like break it apart. Because it's kind of like hard to break it in live time when it's going full speed. So we'll go a little farther back because we've already lost somebody. What's going on right here? So they pull you in, right? So now we have to invest into our group a lot of resources so we can kind of kite back. In all reality, fighting that close fight probably wouldn't have been too terrible as long as we were in good positions, but we're not, so we got to back up, right? So we're backing up, right? Cool beans, cool beans. Make sure that we're playing around our CCB wall. They pop. Ah, holy moly, I'm tired. They pop the Squirrel Girl. So as a team, gotta try to burn that, but also we gotta be careful, man. You're sitting in the open. Technically, you can get burned for looking at this, right? So gotta be mindful. We're not able to break it, and it gets a pick on somebody, right? So it's unfortunate. If we were playing high grounds and stuff, or like around here, it would have been a lot harder for her to get that ult off. But she does, and that's unfortunate. As things go, you lose one. Statistically, you should lose this fight already unless you get a trade back of equal value, which I don't think is the case. As of right now, as the Groot, if you have cooldowns, which I think you do, right? You do have a wall, right? Look, I would say just look to kind of block off the cap, deny his healing, look to wall off something, right, and kind of just get a focus going, right? Because right now, Cap's in your backline doing Cap things, right? You don't have your CC immunity, so you look to wall that off, but your team's kind of backing up, and I'm assuming they're communicating that with you. At least your two players are here, which is unfortunate because if he does have turret, so he doesn't need to back up. He could have easily just kind of sat here and popped his turret, and now they're ulting into him, but he's, you know what I'm saying, like he'll be fine. So I don't agree with this guy backing up. He could have probably just stayed up, popped his turret, and kind of just defended the Groot, but he did, right? So just make sure we understand what abilities make a CC immune, what you can abuse, what ults you can avoid with said abilities. But we popped ult, and we're kind of just fighting for space here. But then Sharkman gets a crazy ult, which, okay, got ulti right there. So grabs 2 there, right? So at that point, it's what? It's a 3v6, so 3v5 actually, because he's kind of not in the fight right now. So yeah, so that's how it goes. So I would say unfortunate positioning for staying to certain ults gets y'all picked, and then the more ults come in. So that's how the cookie crumbles. So they're gonna get so right here as the Loki. This is actually really important. So better teams, especially if you mess up your TP, are going to stagger you, which what I was talking about earlier, right? They'll wait a little bit. Let's say all these people respond, and then they eliminate you, and now you have your timer. Basically your timer is longer, so they have to kind of wait for you to come back. They can still walk up, but they can't take a real fight without you being there, right? So your best course of action, if you can't 100% get out, you either need to jump off the map or you need to go down the cart. By going to the cart, you guarantee that they'll kind of kill you immediately because you're stopping the cart from moving, right? They don't want that. Unless they have time and they know that the enemy team needs you to win the next fight, so they can kind of like play a little bit. But 9 times out of 10, they're just going to eliminate you. Jumping off the edge is also not a bad idea, but if they have like cooldowns to kind of like CC you back, things like that, they can kind of delay you a little bit. But those are your 2 options: jump off or die on cart if you can't 100% get out. So right here, you probably mess up your TP. Yeah, you don't grow as far as you probably want to, right? And now they're gonna just push you, which you should get eliminated because boom, and now boom. So now instead of them having like 2 seconds and then they can kind of walk in as a team, right? If you would have got out, right, they have to wait 10 at minimum. Now they have to wait 10 seconds. So their timers got extended by 8 seconds, right? So very unfortunate. So make sure we're not staggering. Staggering is no good.
The final 10 seconds.
So.
Better stop that vehicle.
And it really sucks with things like that. You all make the switch to the strange, which is kind of a must because good teams will zone up in a way that they'll kind of fight you on your way in, so that you have to deal with that pressure. And then by the time you get to here, you people can drop into your backline, things like that, and it make your retake just a whole mess. So by portaling, you can kind of get past that with like a lot less effort. So portal here is going to be really important. Hopefully your Mantis is to get eliminated here. He is by himself, so it's kind of unfortunate. The cap should have probably pressured, but then he was too afraid. But here we are. We have Gambit. Have we Gambit ulted already before the portal even opens? No, we haven't. I don't know why it's showing that.
Until we have a winner, there's still a chance.
Oh no, we just got it. That's why I was doing that. All right, but we have our Gambit and Punisher ult to come out of that portal with. I'm not a fan of doing it like this because you're kind of in the view of everybody. If they all shoot at this, your shield breaks instantly. So now one of your best defenses is gone. You could have easily like put it maybe like at an angle, or you could have like turned it this way so that like let's say you put it right here. Technically, you can get out, your DPS can get to high ground, right? And then you can kind of use it as a shield, right? Because if we're sitting here, you face it this way so you can get out this way, right? Now there's a portal here that they can't shoot through, and you can play behind that as a strange and peek around it, things like that, right? So what I would say when you portal, also think about how much time you have, and if you have enough time to put it in a spot to where you can just put your DPS on high ground and give them like a crazy advantage, or use it as a shield, you know what I'm saying? Things like that, right? So this portal, not a big fan because they're going to just dump damage into it. So as you come through, like I said, your shield's just going to implode. It's going to run at you, so you might just explode, which is no bueno. But you have Gambit ult, things like that. Team's backing you up, so kind of allows it. The tanks are really extended, which kind of allows your tanks to walk into their backline. We're doing damage here. Hopefully we get a pick. As these strange here, it's really nice to do damage, but this guy is healing everybody. So if you want, you can throw a shot, do your little explode, and instantly get in front of this guy and put your shield up. Deny the healing. Make it easier for these people to just blow up, right? One thing about being a tank is it's not always about how much damage you do. Sometimes it's just about denying, right? So if you would have did your little explosion and then put a shield here, all this healing is denied. This guy is doing nothing. He's trying to heal and he can't, right? So he's kind of like dead in a sense. He's out of the fight. He can't help nobody because you're just flat out denying his only source of value. Because look how much longer this person survives. They probably could have instantly blown up. Was it that long? Not really, but in a game like this, seconds matter. Okay, here we are. He's gonna go again. He could have went again, but y'all dealt with him, which is good. Now your Loki kind of runs away here. I'd say be careful doing this. Honestly, the fact that you can get up here is actually pretty insane. I didn't even know you could sit up here for the Loki, but then you got a little shield still, and you can shoot. Just make sure you're not always just hard running away from your team, because if you create a big gap and they have somebody who can fight you at that range or even dive you, big issue. But they don't, right? So especially because the Cap really can't. I don't think Cap can get up there. So unless he runs all the way up here, jumps up here, but he can't invest that much time right now. So then okay, TP. But here we are. Did we need to invest the Maggle? Probably not. But it's overtime, right? So it's fine. It's fine. The game was going to end anyways. We got to be wary of their TP. With that being said, you don't have TP to counter, and I don't think you have anybody that can really get up there and do anything about the TP. So your mentality here is, how can we set up to best defend this if they do TP? If they TP, are they going to TP straight on? Things like that. They don't really have the time for it, so we don't have to worry about it. But just for other scenarios, just think about that. If they could TP, where do we play? How do we want to set up? Things like that. Don't just sit there and not know anything.
Judge, jury,
technically, no, they wouldn't have time. I forgot we're in half speed. Yeah, they wouldn't have time. But good defense overall. Good way to use the TP and get back. Things like that. The only comments I can really give about that defense, what I would say, is just make sure our portals are a little bit better. I would say positioning. Just don't be afraid with trying out new things like the things I've stated, seeing if that works out a little bit better for you, as well as understand when when to just give space, right? When to, if you lose somebody, by losing someone, the enemy team has kind of earned a percentage of something. So not always, but for the most part they do. So how much do we have to give them? And give them the space, respect it, reset, and then go for a refight, right? Things like that. Sometimes you might not even lose somebody, but you've used super important cooldowns that you technically can't fight without because they counter something. So you might need to just soft reset. Hey, I don't have MO field. We can't fight this. They're just gonna ult us. Can we back up real quick? Back up and then go back in, right? Things like that, right? So I would say just work on the portals. You know, try to position better. Don't play low ground all the time because better teams will just take the high ground and shoot down on you, which sucks. And just get more familiar with the push and pull of kiting, going in, things like that.
0.
Ebb and flow. On to the attack. My favorite part.
Time to switch things up.
All right, so now we are attacking. We did switch up our comp, so we're playing more of kind of like a hybrid comp. We technically do have two frontliners, but Strange has the ability to float up and things like that. So he can kind of play a little flanky if he really wants to. You have two supports that are really good at healing things that are grouped up, so I can understand if you don't do that. But I would say just imagine that they're going to play like a really pokey comp and just dump damage to your shields as well too. So that could be kind of spooky. With our comp here, we do have the verticality and the ability to flank. So this left side is going to be really strong. We can see that they're playing up here, right? So we definitely want to make sure we're clearing out areas. Like we want to control the front area, and then we can look to take space. We don't want to just like take space and allow them to kind of surround us. When we're coming out, we need to listen, as well as if I was the root here, I would have just put my big wall down if I was allowed to. And just use that to kind of peek so I don't get pushed off or pulled, whether it's by Spidey or Angela, whoever it may be. But just be aware that people look for plays like this, right? So this is Big Spook. He gets 2. And, I mean, I don't think he gets the pick. If he would have waited a second longer and hit you as you pressed your float up ability, he would have got you both. Which, luckily, he doesn't. But, hey, he still gets to one person. So, technically down a person right away. Not the worst. Yeah, she gets a big buff in her ult charge. But in terms of, like, space and stuff, you didn't really lose anything because the cart just dropped. So, yeah, you lose a little bit of time, but you'll be fine, right? Moon Knight's playing a really aggressive position. I'm not a fan of this, especially when you're down somebody. And fighting into this, you probably look for the supports first, but I would just chill, wait for your teammate to get back here.
Help get that vehicle to its destination.
But seeing as your group can't take high ground, as the Strange here, I would really focus on enabling your Star-Lord. Try to help him take high grounds or things like that. Even if you don't stay there forever, but just float up and just use your health, your shield damage as a way to kind of enforce presence and not allow this person to stay up here. Imagine you would have floated up and you would have been here ready. You could have probably secured this kill, whether you would have hit a shot or did an explosion if you would have built up some damage, and maybe you could have secured this pick if we don't get it already. Which we do, which is awesome. So now we're up 1 because our group just spawned, so we have the number advantage, right? So now we can look to kind of walk at them low key with our tanks. So pretty extended here. He has the confidence to be up because he knows you don't have like a Punisher to blow to burn him down, but at the same time he's very extended, right? And the positions we're in are actually pretty strong. I would prefer the Moon Knight to be here. What we could look to do here is, since he has to kind of protect himself from y'all, he's exposed to the Star-Lord. So since we've already got a pick, and Star-Lord doesn't really have to have that fear of having to win that duel right now, you could just turn and just pour damage into the Strange. What is that going to do? He's either going to sit there, take it, and die, or he's going to back up, right? Which is just going to give your team free space. He should back up anyways, but you could get some pretty good damage in them, as well as build up your ult. DPS are going here. Not a big fan of stacking DPS unless y'all are characters that can kind of work in conjunction. By doing this, you're kind of making it easy for Angela to kind of just recontest this and kind of just throw off what y'all want to do. So, not a big fan of this because she can kind of just get up here and just force y'all down and get a pull, which is very catastrophic for your Moon Knight. He should not get out here. He should blow up, and he does. Unfortunate, right? So, Moon Knight, as the Moon Knight here, your job is to kind of just get safe damage. You're not really an assassin character. You're kind of playing it that way. Will there be opportunities for you to kind of go in, get weird angles, and get a pick, or do a lot of damage? Sure. But I think right now your main focus should be burning this shield down, right? Helping your takes win that frontline battle. It's not always about going for the most flashy play for the picks. Sometimes it's just about wearing the enemy team down. But luckily, your team is making it work, right? They're making it work to get in the picks. You guys are winning the fight, and so much that the Star-Lord knows, like, hey, I can't even go up here because I'm just going to die, right? So with that being said, after we get rid of this Angela, we're going to talk about a concept called zoning, right? So now we have won this fight. Technically, we have earned a ton of space, right? So when it comes to the cart, obviously having, I believe it's 3 is the max, 3 people on is going to be the fastest it can move, but it's not always about moving the cart as fast as possible. It's more so about putting yourself in a position to win the next fight. If you can get 3 on the cart and guarantee that you'll get here before they get back and get to the next checkpoint, by all means, put everybody on the cart, get it there as fast as possible. But with knowing that they have a strange, they can TP, we know for a fact, even at max speed, you're not beating the strange TP. You're not. So what do? Right? If we can't beat the strange TP, what do? We have to put ourselves in positions to win the next fight. So your support that's going to be the fastest and be able to take high ground whenever they want is going to be the shark, right? Your shark's going to be your most mobile person who you can afford to not move up. So as of right now, I would put your Jeff on the cart. He'll be the one moving it. Everybody else needs to be taking positioning. So when it comes to enemy retakes, when it comes to portals, they can portal anywhere. So you can't really predict where they're going to go and just find a perfect position. But if they're not going to portal, which if they can see the cart's not moving super fast, so only one's on it, they might not. They might just take the chance of walking up. They could technically fly over with flyers. They can attack this high ground, go through underneath through here, come around the bottom here, or go through the top, right? So these are their routes. So the most common routes are going to be here. This one's less common. So I wouldn't focus too much on it unless you know that they like to do it. And you can maybe set one person, like your Star-Lord, to handle that. So with that being said, um, is your Star-Lord alive? Yeah, he is. So what you can do here is you can put your Strange and your Star-Lord on the high ground, right? Your Sue can walk up. Maybe, she can use his little jumpy pad. She can technically put herself in a position like here so she can assist them while also assisting her Groot that should be probably here, right? So you have your Strange, your Star-Lord. So I'll do this. I'll do OT for off tank. I'll do F for your FD for your flex DPS. Groots will be your main tank here, so MT. And then I'll do I'd say Sue would be your like flex support here because she's kind of like your utility because she has the pool and things like that. Whereas Shark he's really just a heal bot with a speed boost. So I'd consider him your main support here. So I'd have your flex support here. And then your main support, which Jeff will be on the cards. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then your Moon Knight is still coming back. So Moon Knight can just kind of once he gets back, Moon Knight can probably just play here, right? Moon Knight can get back, play here, right? Help the cart a little bit, jump to high ground. So now when they come back, if they want to push through this doorway, Moon Knight can just help fight with the Groot. If they try to push y'all out, y'all can back up a little bit. Moon Knight can assist y'all here. If we know they're teleporting, they'll probably look to teleport somewhere onto the back line. Jeff is basically unkillable. He can go on the ground and run away, get to high ground. Let's say push comes to shove, Jeff can kind of climb the wall here. Now Jeff's up here. Jeff should have visuals of basically everybody with a beam that travels basically across the map, right? So Jeff's chilling. If Jeff needs to run away, he can. Moon Knight's a little iffy because Moon Knight doesn't have the best mobility, but technically Moon Knight can run here, and the support can kind of hug the wall and help the Moon Knight, and then y'all can kind of just turn around. But if you want it to be super super safe, y'all could just kind of hold here. But if you want to hold a little farther, here. With them having the TP, maybe you hold a more passive thing where you have maybe like your Groot here, maybe like your Strange and your Star Lord, maybe like maybe they can still be here because they have the mobility to get back. Moon Knight, maybe you can have your Sue kind of play behind your Groot. It's something like that. So you can either do something like this, where it's kind of like semi-aggressive, or you can just go full aggressive, and if they TP behind you, y'all just turn around, right? And yes, it creates a split, but I feel like your people that be back here are survivable. Moon Knight can kind of like get away. He'll hear the TP, just get away. But we'll see what they do. So like I said, I would like our team to kind of zone up. We don't need everybody on the cart. I would rather have positioning.
You're halfway there. Keep going.
So they don't portal because they understand that they should have some kind of time to get back. And right now, all you have is your Starlord up here. So imagine your Strange was here. So now Starlord just wins this because there's no way Iron Man's shooting through his shield. Iron Man is probably not even going to contest you because he knows he can't burn through the shield. But let's say he would have just lost his fight. Now Angela's coming up here. So right now, look, they're contesting with a DPS and a tank to win this versus our tank kind of not doing anything. Do something. You don't get paid to stand around. Damn. Groot's here contesting this to make sure we're not playing overly aggressive. We need to also understand where our supports are. By playing here, you're kind of cutting off your one support, so you only have help from this one. But then at the same time, this support is also kind of just hyper focusing on well, they kind of both are. So Groot's kind of not getting any help here. So Groot's gonna explode. So definitely got to make sure that we understand where our team is and just kind of play around natural cover, right? We don't need to be inside this doorway. You can be here, body block a little bit, go back to natural, body block a little bit, go back to natural, throw a wall down, do what you got to do, but don't just hyper commit to just playing outside of cover because then things like this happen. So now we're down one. We do get a trade, a DPS for a tank, which in some cases is okay, but sometimes not. We get another pick where we get a support, but they also get a support. So now we're down a tank and a support. We've lost a lot of sustain. They lost a little bit. They've lost some sustain, but they still got 2 supports, so they're fine, and they lost the damage. So still kind of even here. Especially with the fact that they have to really live here, because if they lose the game. So at this point here, it needs to be a team decision. Either y'all are going to fight as a team or y'all are going to back up. Can't be doing the half and half because you're just going to waste time, right? So either you call a reset or you commit to something. Now, this guy diving like that, I don't know about that. You definitely had opportunities to probably shoot through at other things or just burn the tank to kind of create an opening here. At least break his shield so you can maybe get past him without having to do something like this. Because what happens is you hyper commit to something. You do get a pick, but then you're also kind of trading your life away. So you get a support, but you die as well, right? And now while you're doing that, they're running at your backline. So, very unfortunate. And as the main DPS, as the Moon Knight, your job's kind of to do damage, but also kind of be that protecting force for your backline. So it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate, but we can get another fight here. They have 3, we have 3. I can understand why we would pop our ult here in the sense of when my ult wins this fight, if we can really just put a lot of pressure onto the Strange, throw walls, shield off his healing so that he can't get any help and just burn him down. But you have to absolutely survive here. Now it's unfortunate that as soon as you pop it, he pops this. And even though you're not that close, that's a big explosion radius. So would I have popped that out there? Probably not. I understand the vision, though. But I just feel like it probably wasn't the best idea to commit it in a 3v3, especially when they have ults up. So we lost that. We got to reset now. In terms of the Star-Lord, you being up there is not the worst. Just obviously you don't want to let them know that you're there. Okay, this is actually really important. You're getting scouting information. You've probably heard or saw him float up there. We're gonna go back and we're gonna see this because this is actually really important because I think he makes a play here in a bit. So you are number 3. So we're here, right?
Maximum pulse.
That happens, yada yada. So we see Strange. We see him walk up. He's here.
Oh boy, here they come!
We actually don't hear the float, but we don't see him in main anymore, right? So Iron Man's there. Oop, look at the pick. But right now, the mentality should be where's the Strange? If you don't see him in main, you don't see him on high ground, you're the last person to kind of like knew his positioning. You probably know he's probably hiding somewhere, right? So, and as a tank here, if you have ult, you can probably almost guarantee that they have ult as well, unless you're just dominating them and they're not allowed to do anything. But it's safe to say that he has his ultimate. So if we don't see him in main, we need to question where he is and if he's looking for an ult. Because if we don't see him here and he's not here, Maybe he's here. Maybe he's up here. Maybe he snuck up. I doubt he snuck up because he would have heard that, right? So ask questions. Hey, where's Strange? Is he close? No. Maybe he's height. Care height. He has ult, right? Things like that. Just talk because if we have ult, they probably have ult,
Oh,
and he's looking for it. Right? We gotta like read the signs because look, as a tank here, they're missing somebody. Hold on, they had a Strange. Where's Strange? Where is he at? We gotta keep tabs on people. If somebody's missing and it's a glaring person, their front line, something's up, man. Something's up. Yep, so pops an ult on the back line. He pops his ult. I don't think he does hit the shark, so he can't defend himself, which is unfortunate. One thing that I would say about the Sue here is something I noticed as well. Not to like point you out, but it's something that I noticed. So right here, you throw your shield on somebody, and you kind of never pulled it back. You kind of let it sit there. Sue got buffed to where she can put a shield on herself. So like in this scenario here, if you would have pulled it back and you would have heard ults popping, technically you could have pressed, let's say you would have had it in your pocket right now. You could have pressed F, and you probably would have stopped yourself from getting grabbed here. So not only can you keep your homie alive, because your shield would have been here, so you wouldn't have got hit, but you also get away, right? You wouldn't have got hit by that. You probably would have been, free, and you can keep your boy alive, right? So just make sure that we're just not letting her cooldown sitting there do nothing as a Sue. I understand it's a new change, so you're probably not super comfortable with it yet. I know even though I've been playing a lot of Sue lately, I still don't feel comfortable with it, so I don't blame you. But just make sure that we're just like, if we're not using it, put it away. Put it away. Put it back in your pocket. So that for scenarios like this, even if you don't know if it's coming to you, just throw your shield up. Because if it saves you, it saves you. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And you put it in your pocket again, right? So that could have saved you there and stopped his death, which would have helped your team a lot because obviously you're very important to the team. We lose 2 though. No supports. No tank. GG. Reset. Got a minute. We got a minute 20 left. Still got plenty of time. We got like two more fights in approximately. Because by the time we get back, it'll probably be really close to a minute, right? As we come back and walk up, right? So be mindful. And she gets in the push. That's unfortunate. I feel like somebody should have heard her get there, but hey, things happen. We do get a trade, right? Which is at least that's kind of nice. But the issue with this trade is as nice as it is. And even though she died after, so she should get back slower, she is 10 times faster than your group. So a big play that you can make here as your Strange is understanding that she's going to get back first. You could portal your group back, right? So that's what I would do as a Strange here. I would look to just throw up a portal for my group. So what you could do is you could reposition your first portal so it's not right on top of you, wherever you're at. Where are you? Where are you, Strange? Strange, hello? You're over here. So, yeah, you could just, like, you could walk up a little bit, right? And you pop a little portal and just get your group back faster, right? Because you have a minute left, and typically fights will last between, like, 30 to 40 seconds is, like, a slow fight, right? So, with that being said, technically, you have about, since he's still dead, you have about, like, 1.5 fights left, right? So by portaling, you might get yourself 2 fights, right? So, and if you can get yourself 2 fights, that's better, right? So knowing that she'll get back faster, you don't want to like let them just have the advantage quicker. So you just help him reset, right? Because now he spawns in, and Groot is one slow guy. So instead of like, you could have, or you could like, let's say you were back here, right? When Groot died, you technically could have just popped your portal, right? And put it like on this corner. Groot says, I'm ready. You pop it. Now you and Groot are right here, right? And y'all are just, you're back there before she is right now. Because like, let's say you were sitting here waiting to portal for Groot, right? So let's say by the time Groot would have got to the corner, which would have been right about now, you would have popped your portal. And look where Angela's at. Angela's right here. So Angela's right here. So let's say give it 3 seconds for when the portal would have actually went off. 1, 2, 3. So now she's here. And you both would have been right here on the front line already. And if you could have even probably put it in a way to where this guy, maybe he accidentally backs up and gets kidnapped, right? So it's like you could have gave yourself a shield while giving yourself positioning and letting your group get back to the fight as fast as possible because he's still not there. Still not there. Angela's back, contesting your DPS, and he's just getting there. But now that the group's back, you're looking for a Shark ult, which is cool. But now that Groot's back, Groot is your main tank. You don't got to stack on him. You can low-key just leave and help your DPS. Go contest the Angela, take high ground, right? Be weird, get into positions that kind of like are annoying. You don't have to just stack with the group. Let's make sure hopefully our backline doesn't get bullied right now, which they shouldn't. Shark hits a fat ult. Bang. Shark dies, but he takes 3. This game should be over. Should be over. We have somebody low, though. This guy needs to get healed. Where is our Moon Knight? Moon Knight's on the point. I don't know why you're on the point, Mr. Moon Knight. There's still people alive that can kill you. Let the tanks do their job. Right now, Moon Knight should be able to get out here, play in a safer position, right? The Sue should be kind of doing the same thing. Just play it safe. Keep your team alive. This guy needs to get healed, right? As the DPS here, you need to be calling for healing, or you need to grab a health pack. And then by the time maybe you grab that one, this one's back up. And you're basically full health. Or grab one and get a quick little heal, whatever. But there's no excuse for when you have an advantage here to be forcing a fight when you don't need to. Like, you're too low, right? Too low. And look how long you're that low for. Granted, your support should have healed you, right? Granted. But sometimes you got to grab a health pack, brother. Right? Either communicate, can I get a heal? If the answer is no, go get a health pack. Or if they're not answering, assume the answer is no, go get a health pack. Because you should not be dead right here. You should not be dead. And since we didn't use our portal earlier, technically when the shark died, we could have probably looked for one now. But with Angela being up, she could technically just CC you out of it. So it's not really a real option, but it's an option in other cases. So now that we don't have any supports, the fight's kind of over because they have a support and you don't, and they're, you know what I'm saying? So they're just going to win the fight. So by you kind of just sitting here as a Strange, you know you're going to die by staying here. I would have floated out, right? I would have floated out, and hopefully she doesn't chase me. Hopefully she's just like, okay, he's leaving, he's low, he can't fight, let's kill Groot. And then you portal your team back, right? So by you staying here, you're dying for no reason. Once your support died, the fight was over. They popped an ult, they got sustained, they got 2 tanks, they're winning. They're not losing this fight. So why are we wasting time fighting a fight we just cannot win? But all right, here we go. Shark's in position to touch here. Just make sure when you touch, right, like you can go to touch while you're under, come up, get that last second touch, and go right back under the, into the water, as you could say. Because if you look how long you're underwater and you're not doing anything, we'll go back here. This is really like niche. And it's not super important, but I just kind of want to just make like a little teaching point for you so you can, maybe make this play later on. But you're here, right? You don't need to be underground right now. You're not under threat. Throw some bubbles out. Give yourself some sustain if the dude wants to push you, right? But right now you're wasting your timer to be under the ground, right? What you could have did was you could have went for the touch, got it, and went right back underground. Right back on the ground. Didn't need to die. Well, I mean, you probably still could have died, but you maybe could have prolonged your life. Maybe you could have escaped. But right here, above ground, above ground, above ground, above ground. Put a bubble down to give you that speed boost, right? Go under, come up, get that proc, go right. Like once you get it at 1, it's gonna go off. You touched it at 1. Go under the ground, right? Throwing bubbles down. It could have been a little bit better touch. Does this matter? Super. Like, is it really important? Not really, but it could come in clutch one day, so just be mindful. Use your cooldowns, throw your bubbles out, right? Be up, get the touch, go right back under.
Keep fighting until we have a winner.
I mean, maybe you just wanted to guarantee the touch. At the end of the day, you got it, so respect and good play in getting it, but you might have been able to survive, right? So you could have did a little bit more, but good touch nonetheless. But here we are. Star-Lord's like really fighting for a touch here. Pretty sure I think they might have canceled your portal so that you weren't able to portal up, which is unfortunate. But yeah, we're fighting here. We popped an ult. Should be fine. One of the strangers isn't blocking the heals off. But we lose our Sue. One thing about the Sue and your ult, once you pop it, you don't really got to be in it anymore. So if we go back a little bit, even though the game's like, now it's just pure chaos. Y'all should have won, made mistakes. Here we are. So we popped a Sue ult, right? Yes. If you heal while you're in the Suo, you're doing a ton of healing, right? Like, oh, the ult healing, I'm healing, cool. But if you die, the ult dies, right? So at this point here, this is a good time. If you didn't waste your jump, I'm not sure if you did, we'll actually watch it, but just to play your life. So right now you don't have your double jump. You should have it soon. You're building your ult. You're doing good, right? Things walking in. Right now you can throw one of your little orbs to just do damage, whatever, right? You pop your ult here. which I don't think it's a battle, but you double jumped in. I don't think you needed to double jump in. Or just you could have been a little bit closer, so you didn't feel the need to do that. Like right here, like you're already close enough, right? And one thing about your ult is not only a healing field, but it cuts off line of sight. So you don't need to like put it as far as possible. Sometimes like you could have cut it short here, and now as long as or like maybe like a little bit deeper to where the edge is here, right? And now technically they can't see their strange. Your tanks are still able to contest, right? Their only way to win this is to back up and force y'all to come out of the ult. But you know what I'm saying? The carts are not going to move that fast, especially if you only have like one tank that's really, really pushing it, right? So you're going to put it somewhere around here, and then, you know what I'm saying? So you wouldn't have felt the need to double jump in. So we'll put it, we'll like put in slow-mo and kind of see how it transpired. So let's see how, so you double jump in and you put the ult way deeper than it needed to be. Like look at how much space you're covering. Technically, they can walk in and they can play inside of your ult and they can continue to fight. Can they win while the ult's going on? Probably not. But they're forced to walk in so that they can see. And now that they're in, it's not that they get debuffed from being in there. They only get debuffed as they walk in. So now that they're in, they're fighting normal, right? They're just trying to survive, do what they got to do. But if you would have put it a little bit farther, now they've really got to commit to get in there, right? So I would have just put it a little bit more shallow. You wouldn't have wasted your double jump. And what does that mean? You could have popped it. If they would have engaged really hard into your ult, you technically could have double jumped. You're invisible now, and you could have walked out. Put yourself in a position to where you just cannot die. Right? I'm actually interested in how you died because I wasn't paying attention to exactly how that transpired. So we're actually going to look at that, see how this goes. So you pop your ult. Look at your positioning in relation to your tanks. That's an absolute no-no. You need to be behind the big boys, right? Abuse that. Let them eat chops. Because look at this. Look at this. Look at this. You got 1, 2, 3, 4 people. They know if you die, this ult drops. They're going to stare at you. They're going to stare at you.
I am ready to put on a show.
I got you covered.
3 people, because she can't fight you as well.
Anyone willing to help?
But you get ulted, any kind of explosive damage is going to do double damage. So Iron Man does double damage. But they're just going to look at you in general. Mantis, Gambit, man, you're going to blow up.
They look like they mean business.
And dead. Now, granted, your ult might have just dropped, and that's why you died. But you should have never been that deep in the first place. You should never be in front of your tanks. Unless you're a cloak and dagger and you're like immortal. Nah. No point. You don't do that much damage to justify that. So it's unfortunate. But now Shark's back, keeping y'all alive. Y'all fighting, 1v the world. Well, 2v the world, man. But y'all are keeping it, so Strange is actually making a good play here by cutting off the healing. Basically making it so he can't get help. This Strange is doing a phenomenal job at this. But we got a pick though. For one of the walls, I guess it just procced. This is still winnable, man. Here we are. Right now, this guy, honestly, your Groot's contesting. You did enough. You could have just backed up and got a health pack here. And this is where it's important, where you guys talk. Hey, do you have touch? Do you have touch? Can I get off? Sure. Boom. We get a pick here. Right? You've done enough. There's no need to int here. There's no need to int. Y'all have already kind of like made the fight a little bit more in your favor. You need to live, right? As long as Groot doesn't die, y'all are keeping it contested. Y'all are gonna get like a chance, right? But you can't be inting here because you're not gonna have any help back here. So you're willingly taking a 1v2 for no reason at all, right? You don't need to be doing this because while you're taking a 1v2, they're taking a 2v2, and this is very winnable for them. Instead of it being a 3v2, or you know what I'm saying, like this fight doesn't have to happen. And you back off, but then you never just get out. Like, look, you could have came this way, got a heal, wrapped around, got a heal, and then came back and helped your Shark. Did you have the resources at that point? Maybe not, but there's no reason why you should have died on Carter. You didn't have to. Groot was alive. And you get pushed off by the Angela. I'm not sure if Groot had his big wall to give him that self-sustain. They didn't really have the damage to really break it. So we'll actually look at that to see as well. Did you have the utility to not get pushed off there? It doesn't seem to be the case. Actually, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, actually, no, you did have it. Put your big wall down. What are we doing? You get it back, instantly put it down. Their only win condition is getting you off the cart. And how long is it that you don't put it down? 1 second, 2 seconds. It was probably about 3 seconds that you had the cooldown and you didn't use it. Oh my gosh, why am I flying away? Stop flying away! Oh man. So you had about 3 seconds to make a decision to use it. You use it there, you don't get pushed off,
Final score,
and your team gets back, and maybe you
2,
win.
1.
Maybe you win, right? So, what I would say about that game, it was very close, and honestly, little mistakes that y'all made caused you to lose. So I would call it a moral win because I feel like y'all should. Well, that's not an A. Y'all should have won, but I get it. Y'all are competitors, so you're like, nah, we lost. We gotta be better. True, 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 true. Um, so yeah, very close game. Honestly, I really think I think y'all were the better team. I just really think it comes down to just understanding of how hero shooters work and how y'all need to really work as a team and map control, things like that. Y'all's biggest thing is gonna be map control. Figuring out where y'all want to play, how can we control the map, what times should we walk up and take more space, what times do we need to back up and give space, things like that. I honestly liked how much y'all ulted. I don't think there was a time where y'all held it too long, even though there were times where you did hold them. But I don't think it's a super big issue, especially for now. But I definitely want y'all to focus on map control and knowing when to push the issue and when you gotta give a little space. Other than that, keep on playing, continue to get comfortable with your characters and your cooldowns, and just extend your champ pools where possible as long as you have to. You don't need to force yourself to play things that make no sense. But with that being said, good job overall. Close game, very close game, very winnable. Your defense was great. Y'all held them before first choke. Y'all just weren't able to get past the first thing, right? So it's very unfortunate. But hopefully I was able to kind of enlighten y'all on some stuff, teach y'all on some things, and who knows, maybe y'all be hearing from me again in the future. So I'll see you guys, and hopefully you guys have a great morning, day, night, wherever you may be. Peace.